You finish a big project at work. It turns out great. You know it turns out great. But before anyone can say a word, you're already explaining why it wasn't a big deal. The team did the real work, or you just got lucky with the timing. It was nothing. Someone gives you a compliment, and the first thing you do is wave it off. You get asked to lead something, and instead of feeling excited, your stomach kind of drops. If you're an anxious high achiever, this probably sounds familiar. You're used to looking like you have it together on the outside, even when your mind won't stop on the inside. This comes from anxiety and perfectionism working together in a way most people never really take the time to recognize. So here's what's really going on underneath the hood, so to speak. This is a protective strategy you built early on, back when you learned that being good at things is what kept you included, needed, or approved of. So being good at things turned into more than a skill. Part of you started to believe it was who you are, but your self-worth was misaligned with what you were accomplishing on the outside. So the feelings of inadequacy persisted. When something becomes part of your identity instead of just a skill, being seen in it starts to feel bigger than it should. Underneath it, there's often one belief driving everything. I'm not really as good as people think I am. So when someone compliments you or points out a win, part of you minimizes it because letting it fully land would mean believing something about yourself you don't fully trust. So you shrink the win before anyone can react to it. This is perfectionism and anxiety protecting a belief that your value was never fully earned, even though from the outside, it looks like humility. I'll explain why that matters for how you present yourself at work and at home. But first, let's look at where this reflex shows up. This pattern doesn't just live in your thoughts. It's stored in your body too. Right before you deflect a compliment or shrink a win, notice what happens physically. Your chest might tighten, your breath might get shorter, you might feel an impulse to quickly change the subject. That reflex comes from your nervous system trying to protect you. When being fully seen and acknowledged is connected to a belief that you don't fully deserve the credit, your body reacts the same way it would to any other kind of threat. It tenses up, it looks for an exit. This is often referred to as fight or flight, and it can show up even when nothing dangerous is happening around you in that moment. Once you notice that physical reaction, you can start to separate what your body is doing from what you logically know to be true. Here are 3 situations you may be able to relate to. 1, your manager tells you that you handled a hard client better than anyone else on the team could have. Instead of taking that in, you start listing 3 things you'd do differently next time, so the praise doesn't have to fully count. Or 2, picture this one at home. Your partner tells you they appreciated how you handled a hard conversation with your kid's teacher. You respond with, "Are you serious? I didn't handle that well at all," even though you did. In that moment, you're manipulating the compliment to fit with your beliefs about yourself. Or picture a room full of new colleagues. You're being introduced, and instead of letting your title do the talking, you undercut it with a joke about how you basically fell into this role. The room laughs. Part of you feels relief that no one has to find out you don't fully belong there. Let me tell you about a client. I'll call her Priya. She's in her mid-30s and works as a senior director of supply chain operations. Around the office, she's the person everyone calls when something breaks, when a shipment goes missing, when a deadline suddenly becomes impossible. If there's a solution, Priya will find it. Last year, she got the promotion into that director level role, the one she'd worked so hard for. Everyone assumed she must have felt proud, relieved, recognized. But instead, she felt something she couldn't quite name at first, a persistent hum of anxiety that followed her into every meeting. A few sessions later, she finally put words to it. If they think I'm this good, it doesn't feel true. I know what really went wrong along the way, even if nobody else does. That wasn't really about the promotion. Growing up, Priya was the oldest of 3 children. While her parents worked long hours, she became the extra adult in the house. She made sure homework got done. She helped get dinner on the table. Somewhere in that, she learned to keep track of every place she fell short more than every place she came through. And over time, that scorekeeping stopped being something she did under pressure. It became how she measured herself all the time, promotion or no promotion. And she wasn't even consciously aware she was doing it. So now every compliment at work comes with a private rebuttal underneath it. Every new responsibility gets measured against a belief that she isn't really as good as people think. The more people trust her, the more part of her disagrees, convinced they're seeing something that isn't fully true. This week, notice that moment in yourself, the instant after someone praises you, the moment part of you wants to correct it internally. The split second you catch yourself thinking, they don't know the whole story. Don't try to change it. Just notice the disagreement. Sometimes awareness is the first place the story begins to change. Here's why this pattern matters beyond any single compliment or meeting. When you spend years discounting your own wins, the people around you build a picture of you that's smaller than who you really are. Your manager sees the results, but never sees the effort behind them. So the bar keeps rising without anyone realizing how much you're already carrying. Your partner sees confidence, but rarely gets access to the parts of you that still doubt you deserve it. So closeness runs into a ceiling. Over time, this pattern wears on you. You're managing two things at once, doing the work and negotiating with yourself over whether the credit is real or deserved. That second negotiation never shows up on a resume, and it usually consumes more energy than the first one. So here's the practice for this week. At some point this week, you'll downplay something you're good at, or find a reason the credit doesn't fully count. It could be a compliment you wave off, a win you shrink before anyone reacts to it, or a moment you're asked to lead and you feel the pull to disappear just a little. When it happens, just notice it. Say to yourself, there it is, I'm doing the thing. You don't have to respond differently yet. Just notice it as it happens. That's the entire practice for this week. Here's the important part. The things you're good at are real. Perfectionism and anxiety can make it hard to believe that, especially when there's an old belief telling you you're inadequate. The goal is to feel worthy of the credit you already have without having to earn it over and over again. This video is about noticing that pattern. Next time you receive a compliment and part of you wants to minimize it, try asking yourself what you learned early on that made it hard to believe good things about yourself. Your patterns make a lot of sense once you can see where they came from, and that understanding is where change starts. If this sounds like you, I go deeper into where this belief comes from and how it shifts in my book Unpacked, How to Detach from the Subconscious Beliefs That Are Sabotaging Your Life. There's a free first chapter linked below. And be sure to subscribe for therapist-backed videos on high-functioning anxiety, perfectionism, people-pleasing, and unprocessed trauma. I'd truly love to hear about your personal experience. Anything you share will likely resonate with someone else watching this video, so let's support one another. Tell me in the comments.